On Good and Evil, Khalil Gibran. And one of the elders of the city said, "Speak to us of good and evil." And he answered, "Of the good in you I can speak, but not of the evil. For what is evil but good tortured by its own hunger and thirst? Verily, when good is hungry, it seeks food even in dark caves, and when it thirsts, it drinks even of dead waters. You are good when you are on with yourself, one with yourself. Yet when you are not one with yourself, you are not evil. For a divided house is not a den of thieves, it is only a divided house. And a ship without rudder may wander aimlessly among perilous isles, yet sink not to the bottom. You are good when you strive to give of yourself, yet you are not evil when you seek gain for yourself. For when you strive for gain, you are but a root that clings to the earth and sucks at your breast. Surely the fruit cannot say to the root, "Be like me, ripe and full, and never giving of your abundance." For to the fruit giving is a need, as receiving is a need to the root. You are good when you are fully awake in your speech, yet you are not evil when you sleep while your tongue staggers without purpose. And even stumbling speech may strengthen a weak tongue. You are good when you walk to your goal firmly and with bold steps. Yet you are not evil when you go thither limping. Even those who limp go not backward. But you who are strong and swift, see that you do not limp before the lame, deeming it kindness. You are good in countless ways, and you are not evil when you are not good. You are only loitering and sluggard. Pity that the stacks cannot teach swiftness to the turtles. In your longing for your giant self lies your goodness, and that longing is in all of you. But in some of you that longing is a torrent rushing with might to the sea, carrying the secrets of the hillsides and the songs of the forest. And in others it is a flat stream that loses itself in angles and bends and lingers before it reaches the shore. But let not him who longs much say to him who longs little, "Wherefore are you slow and halting?" For the truly good ask not the naked, "Where is your garment?" nor the houseless, "What has befallen your house?"
So on good and evil, the textbook calls it just good and evil. So we have already seen how this collection of poetry called The Prophet becomes an instance wherein you have this prophet in the middle of the people and he's about to go away from there, and you have different people from the city like elders, common ordinary people coming to the prophet and getting their doubts cleared on various topics. So one of the questions posed to him is, what is the meaning of good and evil? So please tell us something about good and evil. So that is the background to the poem. And one of the elders of the city said, "Speak to us of good and evil." And he answered, "Of the good in you I can speak, but not of the evil. For what is evil but good tortured by its own hunger and thirst? Verily, when good is hungry, it seeks food even in dark caves, and when it thirsts, it drinks even of dead waters." So now, one of the city elders, he is asking the prophet, "Tell us something about good and evil." So now the prophet is answering, "Of the good in you I can speak, but not of the evil." So what is he saying? I can talk to you a lot about the good because everyone knows about the good, but then I cannot tell you about evil. And what is evil? Evil is nothing but the lack of good. Evil cannot stand by itself. It does not have an identity of its own. So it is like talking about light and darkness. Light is the only reality or the only presence. What is dark? It is the absence of light, right? So though we call them binaries, they are not actually binaries. So one is actually the absence of the other. Same is the case with good. And what is evil? Evil is nothing but good that is tortured by its own hunger and thirst. That is, we all are good. That's what he is saying. So the moments that we become evil is actually nothing but the torture that is happening to itself. That is, no evil person can be happy. So when you're unhappy, when you do bad things, you become unhappy. So at that moment, you can be called evil, whatever. But then that moment in time, that moment in a person is actually the absence, or rather the torture of its own hunger and thirst. That is what he is saying, is that in each one of us, there is this flame of goodness and the desire to be the best of whatever we can be. And our life is actually a striving towards this perfection. That is through all our activities, our beliefs, our learning, our understanding, our principles and values. What we are trying to do is we are trying to better ourselves and we are trying to be the best of what we can be. But there are moments wherein we fail, wherein we stumble, wherein we fall. And then during those moments, we suffer. And it is those moments that are actually tagged as evil. So now Mustafa is saying that I'm not qualified to talk to you about evil because evil is not an independent, independent thing with an identity of its own. Evil is nothing but the absence of good. It is good tortured by its own hunger and thirst. And then what is good? Because when good is hungry, it seeks food even in dark caves. That is, when you want to do good, you will always find that opportunity for doing good. So even in the worst of times, even in the worst of situations, when there is at least a little bit of good, it will try to flame itself. That it's a small spark, it's a burning light that is there in each one of us. So somehow or the other, it will try to express itself, it will try to come out of itself to keep that flame burning. And then he is giving us a list of things or list of times when we are good and when we are not good. So the opposite of good is not evil. Then he is saying you're good when you're one with yourself. That is when you're true to yourself. Yet when you're not, Yet, when you're not one with yourself, you are not evil. But at the moments when you are not one with yourself, that is, when you are not unified, when you are not very true to yourself, you are not actually evil. And then he is giving us the example of a divided house. A divided house, as in a house with maybe difficulties, maybe without unity between the members, maybe father and mother quarreling, whatever. That's a divided house. So a divided house is just a divided house. You don't call it a den of thieves. Den of thieves is that place where there is no goodness at all, which is full of, infested with all kinds of evil and malice and hatred. That's the place where thieves live. All wicked kind of beings live. But a house is not like that. So even when people are fighting with each other, whatever, there would be traces of goodness in them. So you cannot label that house as a den of thieves. Same is the case with us human beings also. So the moments that we are not good doesn't mean that we have become totally bad. So we are also like that house that is within ourselves. We have all these different thoughts. So most of them are good, but other times when we are not good, that doesn't mean that we are evil. And another example is a ship without rudder may wander aimlessly among perilous isles, yet sink not to the bottom. So many times a ship without the rudder, that is the controlling kind of support that is given to a ship. So without the rudder, it may wander aimlessly among the perilous, as in the dangerous islands. A ship without proper controls and a rudder, what would happen to it? It will just go here and there in the water. It might even be in danger of getting knocked onto an island. Isles as in island. Yet sink not to the bottom. So what it means is when the ship sinks to the bottom, that would be the end of it. The boat will be dead and gone. But then as long as the boat is wandering aimlessly, it is alive. That there is still possibility, that there is still hope that it can like sail properly. but it is not sunk. Once it is sunk, then all hope is lost. Till the moment it is not sunk, though it may be wandering here and there is still hope and it is still alive. You're good when you strive to give of yourself. So, another instance of goodness is when you try and give to others, you give of yourself. That is, you're giving your time, your money, your energy, or whatever that you have, you give to others. So, in giving, what would happen? You become good. Yet, you're not evil when you seek a gain for yourself. But you cannot be called an evil person when you try to get something for yourself. Because we have already seen, right, in that last speech, Adichie, what does she say? What is love? Love need not be giving all the time. It should also mean, or we should also dare to take. Same is the case with life. So if somebody is taking something, don't label that person as evil, because in life there's a time for both giving as well as taking. So for when you strive for gain, you're but a root that clings to the earth and sits at her breast. So when you're taking something from anyone, or could be any occasion wherein you are the receiver, you're not evil. So he's comparing these kind of people or these kind of instances wherein people become like the root. And what is the identity or function of a root? The root sucks at the nutrients that are available in the soil. So that is the function. So it is just taking and it's just following the dictum of nature. That is what is written in nature, that the root is supposed to pull in all these nutrients. If it doesn't do that, what will happen to the plant? The plant will die. So the root is just functioning, it's going to performing its duty. Like is the case with human beings also. So there are times in life where we may be required to take rather than give. Surely the fruit cannot say to the root, be like me, ripe and full and ever giving of your abundance. So now the fruit and root, they're two different types of existence. Their duty and their responsibilities are different. The root cannot become the fruit, as in the root takes in, whereas the fruit gives. So they are kind of different. The biology students may differ, wherein you can say the root can be the fruit, or it can be used to give, but we are just looking at the metaphorical significance of these lines. So the root cannot sorry, the fruit cannot tell to the root that be like me, look at me, I am ripe and full, and I'm all the time giving of my abundance, so I want you also to be like that. So can the fruit say that? Can the fruit expect the root to become like that? No, that's not possible, because there is a time and there is a place for everything in nature. So, a time to give, a time to reap, a time to sow, as it is said in the Bible. There's a time for everything under the sun. Same is the case with human existence also. And then coming to these lines, for the fruit, giving is a need, as receiving is a need to the root. So, these are the two very different functions of these two very, very different parts of a plant, right? So for the fruit, the existence or the philosophy of its life is giving, whereas for the root, it is taking. You're good when you're fully awake in your speech, yet you're not evil when you sleep while your tongue staggers without purpose. And even stumbling speech may strengthen a weak tongue. So now next is, you're good when you're fully awake in your speech. That is, when you speak and you know what you're speaking about, you're good. Wherein you measure your words and you speak well, you're being good. That is when you're fully awake in your speech. Yet, you're not evil when you sleep while your tongue staggers without purpose. And there are moments wherein we may be in sleep. Sleep need not mean the real sleep wherein you go to sleep with your bed and blanket and pillow. Even it can be moments wherein you are not guarded, moments wherein you are very tired, or moments wherein you are not yourself and you're in a very different state of mind, and during those times what would happen, you end up talking or saying things that you really did not mean. For instance, when you're having an argument, when you're having a fight with someone, in the heat of the moment, what would you do? You might say things at that moment, you were very angry, so you may scream out something, but then later you feel sorry about it, right? So now what is he saying? So when you sleep and your tongue staggers without purpose, that is without a proper purpose, when you speak all kinds of nonsense, that doesn't mean you're evil. And even stumbling speech may strengthen a weak tongue. So if your tongue is weak, that stumbling speech, that is, you learn from all these instances, and then you realize this is not the way to use your words. So next time you would be careful. Again, another way of looking at this line is anyone with a speech disorder or a speech difficulty, they are taken to the therapist. And what do? They are given speech exercises. So initially, it would be just kind of mumbling and making some kind of noises. But then, with those mumbling again and again, what would happen? The speech may be strengthened, the tongue may become stronger. Same is the case with our life also. So, there may be moments where we may lapse, we may make mistakes with unintended consequences or whatever, but that is not, I mean, or you could say that need not label us as a bad person or an evil person. There are momentary lapses in life, but that doesn't mean that we are bad all the time. You're good when you walk to your goal firmly and with bold steps. So, another instance of goodness is when you know what you're doing with your life and what your goal is, and you walk towards that. So, your goal to be an IAS officer or a pilot or whatever, and you're working towards that, all that is nice. So, you're being very good. Yet, you're not evil when you go thither limping. Thither means there. So, at times, what may happen? We may not be able to take bold and strong steps towards the goals. We may go limping. Maybe we have two, three supplies. We have flunked. We have so much to finish. So, there, what happens? Our walking is becoming limping. That is, we are not walking properly. We are walking like someone handicapped. But then, even that handicapped person is walking. That is more important. That is, keep trying. Trying, that is more important. So, even those who limp go not backward. So limping also is actually a forward movement. So this shows that what is more important? That you try. That you try, that is more important. Maybe some of us are very fast, we are very focused, we know where we are going. And some of us may be wandering here and there, we are lumping, we are kind of limping. But give respect to the limping people also. Maybe they are slow, maybe they are slow learners, maybe they are not very smart, but then at least they are trying. Maybe they have a couple of supplies, whatever. But then what is more important is that they keep on trying. So even people who are limping, they are not going backward. Like Milton says in one of his very famous lines in Paradise Lost, they also serve who stand and wait. So when you're doing your duty, even if that means just standing, like your gatekeepers, watchmen, what are they doing? They're just standing, but then they are serving. So please remember that. So respect that. So even the ones who are limping, they are actually moving at least a little bit. They are not going backward. But who you are strong and swift, see that you do not limp before the lame, deeming it kindness. So now what he's saying, those of you who are gifted, those of you are very intelligent, those of you are very smart, and you know what you're doing, see that you don't limp before the lame, thinking it kindness, deeming as in thinking it kindness. So if you are very gifted, use that and go ahead, march ahead. Don't lower your standard or goal because you're surrounded by lame people or you have lame people in your company. Don't reduce your here what he's saying is don't kind of lower your stake is high, so you continue with the same thing. Maybe you can help them to increase their speed, but then don't reduce your speed to match their footsteps, whatever. So maybe as a student we can see as if you have your friends who are not that hardworking or whatever, you don't become like that. You continue with your pace, you follow your dreams, you chase your goals. Maybe you can help and take them along with you in the same pace, but then don't slow down and become like them. And don't think that you're doing them a kindness. When you do that, you are doing a disfavor to both yourself as well as to your companion or friend. So if you're swift, if you're blessed with that swiftness, use that. Go ahead. That's what he's telling us. You're good in countless ways, and you're not evil when you're not good. So it's a repetition again, reiteration that we all are good. There's so much of goodness, these sparks burning bright in each one of us. You're only loitering and sluggard. So when you're not good, you're not evil. Maybe you're just wandering here and there and you're being a bit lazy. Sluggard as in you're being lazy. Pity that the stags cannot teach swiftness to the turtles. So saying it's really sad that stags are deers. They run very fast. So they are so swift, but then the lessons of swiftness that the stags know cannot be taught to the turtles. Why? Because turtles are very slow. Because nature has designed them that way. So some of us are very fast, some of us are very slow. That doesn't mean the slow is in any way inferior or bad or evil compared to the very fast. Because nature intends different things for different people at different times. So we need to respect that difference. In your longing for your giant self lies your goodness, and that longing is in all of you. This is a very important line. So he's saying, in your longing for your giant self as in your best self, your self actualization, that highest peak or point that you want to be. Maybe you want to be a businessman, or you want to be a better person, you want to be a charitable person, or you want to be very rich. Whatever is your ideal of the best version of yourself, in that longing is your goodness. So when you have that kind of a longing, that burning desire for something, that is actually goodness. And that longing is in all of you. That is, this flame is there in each one of us. But in some of you, that longing is a torrent rushing with might to the sea, carrying the secrets of the hillsides and songs of the forest. So, this longing, that bright light that is in each one of us, in some it is like a torrent as in a heavy rush. It's like a heavy rush. You've seen waterfalls, right? You think about Niagara, or you think about any of the biggest waterfalls. You talk about Sagar, which is quite close to us. Even in Kerala, you have so many waterfalls. When you look at them, you can see that gush of water. It symbolizes so much of energy and power and what do you call that spirit to forge ahead and move ahead. So it's like a torrent, and it is rushing with all its energy towards the sea. And in this rush, it carries all the secrets of the hillside and the songs of the forest. So it's able to experience all these things because it is coming from great heights. It has traveled quite a lot through the hillside and the forest. So a lot of understanding and maturity or experiences there in these kind of people. But in some other people, this desire to be the best in them is like a flat stream. That is just like a small trickle. It's a flat stream that loses itself in angles and bends and lingers before it reaches the shore. So these people, they are like those little small streams and rivulets. Little bit of water here and there, sometimes losing way, then coming back. It's bending itself here and there, going at different angles, and lingering as in tarrying around waiting before it reaches the shore. So some people are like that, here and there they while away a lot of time, but then slowly they're moving. But let not him who longs much say to him who longs little, wherefore are you slow and halting. So now what is he saying? Don't judge anyone. So if you are very past, and if you have all these longings, too much of longings and ambitions, and this flame burning really bright in you, don't ask someone with less desires or someone who is very slow, why are you slow and halting? Don't do that. So here what he's saying is, don't be judgmental. Let them take their time. Let them maybe make their mistakes and learn from their mistakes, provided they are moving, they are going ahead. For the truly good ask, not the naked, where is your garment, nor the houseless, what has befallen your house. So, what he's saying, the real good would never ask the less fortunate, or the ones less endowed, or the ones who really don't know or don't really bother about. They don't ask, they don't become judgmental. So it's like asking the naked person, where is your garment? Nobody would go around happily naked. The reason could be that he doesn't have clothes. And when you see somebody naked, do you go and ask them, why are you naked, or where is your garment? So you have to have that kind of an understanding. And it would be really cruel of you to ask someone without a house, that what has happened to your house, because he or she has no house. So how do you why do you ask that? So what he's saying is, you are supposed to be compassionate even to the selfish and the cruel and the slow and the lazy and the laggard and the ones who apparently don't seem to have any aim in life. So saying be compassionate, be accepting of them, and accept the differences, because maybe it is in their nature to be like that. Maybe they are like that turtle, maybe they are like that stream, because it is in their nature. And then what he's saying is, these people who are not as swift or as fast or not as lofty in their longing, maybe they suffer greater poverty of the soul. So maybe they suffer quite a lot. Maybe to the outside world, it looks as if they are very slow and they are least bothered and they are being lazy. But then we don't know their internal landscape, the internal drama that's going on in their minds. Maybe they are mightily unhappy. So all those who say, you know, who say that we don't give a hoot to the world, or we don't care about all these achievements or the standards of success or the kind of achievements that the world speaks about, maybe within them they may be suffering. And here we're not talking about material gains and benefit, we are just talking about being the best, being the best in whatever we choose to do, we would like to do. So those who don't care to be like that doesn't mean that they are not good enough. Maybe they are also suffering. Maybe they are also trying to do something, but then maybe they are not showing it. Maybe it is in their nature, in their quality to be like that. So maybe they linger around and then they're being very lazy and walking aimlessly. But then we need to be accepting of that. Let's not judge them. Let's give everyone a second chance. Let's give everyone an opportunity. If we are accomplished, if we are smart and we are successful, good. But at the same time, let's not be judgmental about the ones who are not like that and the ones who are not on the same plane like us.